Hey gang, for today's challenge I went out and bought a brand new Weber 22-inch kettle grill. I really love this grill. It was easy to put together, as you can see me doing here on my deck. I love the grill because it's made in the good old USA, and the tolerances on this grill are just great. I mean, it's easy to control the temperature, and they've always been a quality grill for a number of years. It's almost a shame to put coals in this thing. It's never going to look this good again. Anyway, for today, we got the Steakhouse Challenge coming up. They can't do it better than we can.
Hey everybody, it's Ken from FlavorLabTV. Today we're going to do a flank steak. It's just a marinated piece of beef. Let me just go over the ingredients real quick. We have the flank steak itself. This is kind of expensive. This is a $30 cut of beef, but for me, I think it's worth it. Much better than like a London broil or something like that. This flank steak comes out nice and tender. There are, of course, more expensive cuts of meat, but there certainly are less expensive cuts of meat. So this is about right in the middle here. For our ingredients, we have some fresh garlic. We're going to do about a tablespoon of that. We're going to have the juice of 1 lemon along with the zest, which is the ground up skin from the lemon. We have some soy sauce. We're going to do about 4 ounces of that. We're going to do about maybe about 2 teaspoons of the crushed red pepper flakes. We're going to do about a half cup of olive oil and about a half cup of orange juice. So I'm going to come back in a little bit and I'm going to talk all about marinades and how that actually affects your meat and the elements of a good marinade, okay? So when I come back next, you're just going to see all these ingredients mixed together in the bowl. I'm going to show you, we reserve part of it and we put part of it over here. We're going to be outdoors today, so no kitchen. And we're going to talk a little bit about a reverse sear method as well. So good stuff coming up. I'll be back soon. Okay, everybody, so I've combined all those ingredients and put them together in a bowl, and from the bowl I put them into a Ziploc bag, and here we have our flank steak, and this is our mixture with the marinade, okay? And I've reserved some of this marinade. If you come over here, and we put it in this little saucepan here, and this is going to be reserved for when the steak is done. And I'm actually going to put a little bit of cornstarch in here to thicken it up when we heat it up. And I'll show you what I do when we get to that part after the flank steak comes off the grill. Okay, so the elements of a good marinade. Don't fool yourself about marinades. Marinades don't really soak into the meat as much as people think that it does. Marinades, for the most part, just stay on the outside of the meat, and if you're grilling or cooking, it will cook on the surface of the meat, whatever marinade you have, but for the most part, it doesn't really go into the meat, or at a very limited level. So marinades are really more of a sauce. You're kind of like cooking it in the sauce, and what I always do with the meats that I cook is I reserve some of the sauce at the end to put over the meat so that you really get the elements of that marinade. Now, the elements that I would say that are in a good marinade is an oil is number 1, and the oil is to coat. And number 2 is an umami, or a salt, which in ours was the soy sauce. Our oil was the olive oil, obviously. So you've got an oil, you've got a salt. I would say an acid as well. So the acid in ours was a combination of the lemon and the orange juice. The flavor, okay, so I would say that the flavor in ours was the garlic and the crushed red pepper, and also a sugar, which is really important. Now, there is some sugar in the orange juice, but not enough. So that's why I added brown sugar, so you get that caramelization. So I would say that you could substitute most anything in any one of those categories. An oil, a salt, an acid, a flavor, and a sugar. And as long as you have those 5 elements, your marinade's going to be good. Okay? And that marinade we just made has those 5 elements.
Hey guys, so I lost my cameraman here, but I'm just going to show you the beginning process of setting up what we call an offset fire. Basically, it's easy, right? You just put the coals on one side, you start yourself up a nice fire. The reason that I like to use the Weber is because the tolerances are so tight on the Weber that you can really control the temperature with just the vents here. And I'm going to open these vents on the bottom, and we're just going to, you see there that they're completely sealed. And now I'm just going to open them very, very slightly, right? And just let a little bit of air in there. And then this lid, again, these tolerances are really tight on the Weber. It fits perfectly, it seals perfectly, right? And just for a little bit of air on the other side, you just open it just a little bit here, just that much. And these grills are great at maintaining slow, low temperatures and really facilitate what we're going to do with this flank steak. Okay, I've got this grill warming up, and as you can see, I have a temperature probe in here. It's got it at about 172 degrees. This temperature probe is another ThermoWorks product, and I really believe in the ThermoWorks brand. They seem to be the most accurate way to measure an accurate temperature, and I think it's because they use a thermocouple and the entirety of the whole probe doesn't get involved. It's just the tip of the probe that's taking the temperature, and the cheap thermometers aren't like that. But anyway, we'll go here and take a look, and we got a nice smoky fire going here, and we are going to take our flank steak out, and we're going to put it on the other side from where the coals are hot, and we're just going to lay this flank steak out, and we're going to just let this slowly come up to temperature. It's going to take a little while. I'll take some of this marinade here, and I'll just drizzle some of it on top of the steak, just maybe for some extra flavor and caramelization, whatever. And we're just going to cover back up and keep monitoring this temperature. And you want this temperature here not to go right now, because I took the lid off, it's down to about 120, but it'll build up again. You don't want this temperature much over 300 degrees because your steak is going to cook too fast. And remember, we're doing the reverse sear with this, so this is the whole idea behind that. So we're going to come back in a little while and take our temperature in the internal of this meat and see how we're looking, okay? Okay, so that flank steak is outside getting happy. It's heating up, and I've taken a portion of the marinade that was left over. I put it in a little saucepan here, and it's been heating up for a little bit. And, you know, low, medium flame, something like that. And just to make this more, or thicken it up, I should say, we're going to take just a little bit of cornstarch, you know, maybe about that much cornstarch, and we're going to sift it in through here in this marinade. And we're just going to sort of work this in. All right, and hopefully we won't get any lumps there, but it looks like we might, but it's not a big deal. And now as you heat it up, that cornstarch will serve as a thickening agent, okay, and make a real nice sort of over-the-top gravy for this flank steak. I might have to filter some of these chunks out. I didn't do that very well, but, you know, it's about technique, I know, but that wasn't a good technique, Ken. At any rate, we'll be back soon when we're going outside to pick up that steak off the grill. Okay, so as you can see, the day has turned into night, and I hope you can see everything okay. And our flank steak, there it is. And the internal temperatures are saying right now, we've got about 130 in this thick part right here. We've got about 145, which is right where you want to be. We've got about 143 over here, okay? So we're getting temperatures that indicate that we're just at about a medium. So to reverse sear this,
since we're working with coals, what I'm going to do is we're going to temporarily take this off the flame, okay? And we're going to wrap it, okay? And keep it warm, okay? And again, this is because we're doing this with coals. Because what I'm doing right now is I'm getting the other side of the fire over here built up so that we can get our sear going. So just wrap your steak up or your flank up temporarily. And now, instead of having the lid on, we're going to let these coals just go crazy now, okay? Because we want to get this as hot and as flaming as possible. And once we get that going, we're going to take our steak, which is just about up to temperature, we're going to slam it on there, and we're going to get a nice sear going on it, and we're going to bring it up to temperature the last few degrees with that sear. And I'll show you that in a minute. Okay. All right, so you can see our fire is going, man. So we've got some flame, we've got some heat. So we're gonna take that mostly cooked flank steak and we're just gonna put it right on top of those flames. Look at that, right? That is something. We're getting some nice marks. And this does take a minute or two to get it up those last few degrees. I will monitor here and look. And we're looking at about a 130 right in that thick part. So it has a few more degrees to go. 135 about here. And I imagine, yeah, so this is like 157 where it's thin. So as you see, I mean, the steak based on your thickness is going to vary. So if you see this thick part over here, I'm just going to take that, flip that, and put that on that part over there. Now we've got some real sear going on now. We'll try to get that middle a little more done, but of course any steak is going to be a little bit more rare in the middle, right? So look at that yummy sear we're getting on this steak, huh? This is going now. And I'd say this is just about done. We're going to pull it off of this flame here. Try to keep those edges from getting any more heat and just keep the thick part onto the flame. This thick part here, these thin parts here are more than done. This thick part here in the middle could probably use a little bit more. So we're just going to try to bring that heat up a little bit. And again, flip it, but get it to the other side to keep the thin part over here. Take one last reading here in the middle. And we're about a 135, so that's getting to just about a medium, which is just about where we want it. It's 140, and your steak is going to continue to rise in temperature after you take it off. So we're going to put this back on here. And we're going to wrap it and bring it inside. Okay, so this marinade that we reserved has been cooking up with that cornstarch in there. And you see it has thickened itself up as a result of the starch that we put in there. Sugar is starting to caramelize, all that happy stuff. And here we have our flank steak. We're just going to take a couple tablespoons of it and dress it over the top of this. And kind of like that for now. And then we're just going to start slicing. We still have some of the marinade left, but we're just going to start slicing this up. So let's take a look inside here and see what we have. How's that look? Any good? Look at this. And this marinade is just dripping down over the top of it, getting those flavors onto each piece here that I cut. And you can just tell how tender these are and how delicious this is going to be. This stuff, unbelievable. So good. Oh. I defy any steakhouse to do that. It's that good. All the flavors are coming through. It's probably, and my wife agrees with me, out of all the times that we've made flank steak like this, this is probably the best one. This came out so great. And it's all that reverse sear, which really lends itself to this. Absolutely yummy, delicious. Try this. You follow my method, you're in. You're golden. I'm telling you, this is easy. This is easy stuff. Please give it a try. My name is Ken. Please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Ken from FlavorLabTV, and I'm out. Thank you, everybody.